This weekend's astrology is really interesting. There's an awesome Mother's Day supportive aspect. So stunning. Like, what are the chances of this? There's also some action-oriented movement forward energy. And there's a little bit of deep diving energy. So if you're up for inner journeys, going within, there's also a little bit of that. Okay, here's the rundown. Friday, we've got this like kind of push-pull, little bit of agitation energy happening for Mars and Venus, both of them. To me, if we lean into the Mars aspect, that's the action-oriented warrior, move forward, make things happen. If we lean into that, we'll get push forward into newer and truer. So that's kind of where the agitation is at. We've been talking about this in the videos in the past, of this like newer and truer life, newer and truer ways of doing things, newer and truer. So there's a push into that, which is beautiful because I think we can really get a lot out of that action forward. Venus, she's also in an interesting kind of rub. So that's our feminine side. That's our sensual side. That's our soft side, right? That's beauty, it's pleasure, it's values as well. And there's a semi-square to Neptune. That's higher heart. So this could be a newer and truer alignment to higher heart values, to higher heart ways of being in relationships. So something to feel into. I love these. I think it's beautiful. I think semi-squares, they're both in semi-squares. Mars is semi-square to Uranus. That's what's creating the rub there. And then Venus semi-square to Neptune. That's creating the rub there. So I like it though. And if we're aware of it, we can work with the energy. So let the rub move you forward. Okay, let's talk about this overall amazing Mother's Day weekend energy. So Friday, the moon moves into Cancer. That's the sign of the mother. The moon is our emotional nature. This is stunning. This alignment, so beautiful. I know for some of us, Mother's Day brings up really interesting things. We have a mother love workshop, if that sings to you. We also have a podcast I did last year on healing mother wounds, loving the mother, deepening into great mother, like going into unconditional loving mother. And also for our own mothering, you know, sometimes us as mothers, it like brings up all kinds of stuff. So Mother's Day to me like can be really tricky. And so we'll put some resources down in the description below. Free one is the podcast, $47 one is the Mother Love Workshop. You feel into what serves for you. Okay, so that's Cancer moon happening all weekend. So goes into Cancer on Friday all the way until Monday early morning, comes out of Cancer and moves into Leo. So all weekend we have this Cancer, which is also can be very emotional. This can bring up like deep emotions. Cancer can be deep emotions, can be very like home. It's the sign of the crab. So it's like going beyond our shells, the crab shells, into like this intuitive emotional nature within self. Beautiful, but can also be emotional and bring up a lot for us. Okay, moving on. Saturday. Here's the crunchy part. Here's the, if you really want a deep dive, I mean, of course, mother stuff and inner child stuff, that can be a deep dive. Like that might take us in. But Saturday, this is interesting and pay attention for this one. Like you really want to be on the lookout for this. Eris is conjunct Mercury. Mercury is our words. It's communication. It's the mind. Eris is goddess of chaos and discord for truth. So Saturday is a day for speaking our truth. Here's the invitation. Speak our truth, heart connected, with good boundaries, right? Because it can get messy. Like Eris can get really all for like activism, can get really fiery. She's got dark goddess tendencies. She points out the shadow, not just the shadow in ourselves, but the shadow in our environment, the shadow in the world around us, just the shadow all over the place. And so she will truth bomb, and it's a gift. Like it's a gift. Her truth takes us into greater alignment, takes us into greater potentials. But just knowing that this dark goddess, this is her third and final time conjoining with Mercury. This was his whole Mercury retrograde, right? That whole cycle, which happened during the eclipse season. That's intense. 3 times he aligned with Eris, and this is his final time aligning with Eris. So could point back to some of the things that we saw during the eclipse or over the last couple of weeks. Just something to kind of pay attention to, especially the April 8th. Maybe think back on April 8th, what was going on. He was perfectly conjunct Eris on April 8th. And then Sunday, so moving forward, there's one other thing that I do want to share with you around Venus. So this is happening, this happens Friday, Saturday for some of us, but Venus is in an interesting aspect to the South Node. South Node is karma. So it's really interesting that Venus is in this tough place with Neptune, and she's in a tough place with the South Node, right? So semi-sextiles, and it's a quincunx that she's in with the South Node. So South Node is past lives, it's karmic territory. It can also bring up ancestral stuff. So interesting that that's kind of in the mix. If we lean into this moon, if we soften, if we open our hearts, if we speak our truth, if we stay heart aligned, if we take forward action into newer and truer, right? If we just keep aligning with what is a newer and truer way of doing this? What is newer and truer me? What am I stepping into? Who am I becoming? Who am I now? I think we can get a lot out of this weekend. I really do. It's beautiful. It's potent. It's wild. It's beautiful. Two more things to share with you. We have the challenge starting next week. We have the 3-day ReWilding free challenge. If you haven't signed up, type challenge. We'll shoot you a DM. It's totally free. It's 6 hours, a whole weekend of rewilding, good and proper practices. We're doing a lot of archetypal activations, initiations, and embodiment. That opens up parts of self that we've maybe not worked with. It's really about reclaiming our superpowers, reclaiming inner power that we maybe haven't tapped into yet. I'd love to share it with you. It's our way of paying it back and loving it forward. So if you haven't signed up, or if you feel to invite like circles of friends or women's circles or book clubs or yoga clubs or whatever, so open and welcome to anyone. It really is just our way of sharing good stuff. Again, type challenge and we'll shoot you the link for the details. Let me think. I think that's it. We have a new podcast out. If you're up for that, you can go check that out. It's a little bit of a feel into some archetypes. Mary Magdalene, if you're ever wanting to feel into Mary Magdalene, there. Pluto, we go into her a little, him, her, him a little bit, talk a little bit about Kali. We talk about reclamation of masculine and feminine, the dance, the differences between sacred masculine, sacred feminine, and we do some work. We do some archetypal activations in that podcast. That's out. You can type 235 and get that link. I don't know. I'm probably going to jam up the comments with all these links. You can also just look in description or bio and you'll find links to some of these things. Okay. Huge love to you all. Happy Mother's Day. Happy weekend. Happy everything. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.